I got a pretty good voice, so you'll probably be able to hear me.
Absolutely. You want me to hold it?
Would any of you believe that I lost my voice for 6 months once? I could barely talk to you. That's ancient history. Okay, you can have a seat.
Okay, let me introduce.
What I've got, we're going to talk about tonight are 5 situations. I could do 5, say I could do 10, but I just picked out 5 for time that I found kind of interesting, maybe had people hadn't thought about, and maybe do a little bit of a deep dive on the rule book. Now, I kind of got into this. As you see, it's the same talk I did in November, and they seem to like it, so I'm repeating it down here. I do this because I can be a bit of a son of a bitch. You know, somebody says, this or that's a rule. I say, where is it? Show me. You know, and you know, you should have one of these, should be right there. One of these, or one of these should be right near you. I try to keep one of these in my back pocket when I'm officiating. And like I say, somebody, oh, that's a rule. Show me. Now, there are best practices. Those are good things. There are rules. And sometimes some people like to conflate a little bit and say, oh, well, gee, but this is what we did at this or that meet. Show me the rule. So, enough of that. The views I express here, they're largely my own. Maybe somebody's going to disagree with me. A great way to learn a rule is to disagree with it. If time allows in an open forum, we may discuss other rules. I'm going to be discussing high school and NCAA. I see Steve would like to pipe in occasionally with a USATF, but I just didn't go into that for the interest of time. I don't have time for everything. I've included citations as I can. You can look them up yourself, so you can look them up. Now, first thing, indicating a foul of success in field events. In the high school, if you, there's no written rules in high school. College there is. High school, if you fail a foul, that's an F. But that's by convention only. There's no rule that says you have to do it with an F. NCAA, it's different. High school, it's a pass, generally a P. Success in horizontal jumps, obviously that's pretty easy. And the successes indicate the measurement. Now, sometimes, you know, for new officials, they kind of think, which ones do I have to go to the quarter of inch? Which ones do I have to go to the inch? Think of it this way. The ones that you can see, you can go to the quarter of an inch. You can see the long jump. You can see where a shot put lands. Can you really see where a javelin lands? It's about there. Is it a quarter of an inch thing for a javelin? You can't come within a quarter of an inch for a javelin. So that's the way I remembered it when I was first starting out. The shots and long jumps, yeah, you go right there. Javelin, discus, you can't come down to the quarter of an inch for a javelin or discus. You know that. Now the vertical events, well, they're easy. X is a foul, high jump, X is a foul. Over, O is success. For a pass in the vertical events, it's a dash. The NCAA rule, and again, I've cited the rules, so you can go off and read them. For throwing a horizontal events of measurement, the metric system is a system of measurement. Distances measured shall be recorded to the nearest or lesser centimeter. But I want you to go to the bottom of the page. Note Rule 8C for indoor and 16C for outdoor. The rule says performances shall be announced in imperial and metric measures. The display of a performance shall be an imperial measurement and, when possible, metric. I'll bet we've all thought that in a college shop, you're supposed to measure by 2.38 meters or something. No, that's what everybody does. So that rule there, it should first say 42 feet, and then the measurement. Nobody does it. We all just go with the 2.3 or whatever it is, 2.38 meters or 2 meters, whatever, for the metric. It's a rule that's honored in the breach. Why is it there? I have no idea. Because nobody in college and NCAA, I've never seen anybody look at a metric tape. Sure, sometimes they'll turn it over, but according to the rule, you're supposed to read the imperial first and then the metric. You know anybody that does that? I don't. You just read the metric. That's the rule. I wanted to bring it to your attention. Now, the big difference in the NCAA is that all fouls are X's. Now, what I'm seeing, I've had occasion to be a field events referee a little bit this year. I'm seeing a lot of people mix that up a bit. I've seen X's in high school, and that's not wrong. I've seen F's in college, foul in college. That's wrong. In college, it's an X for a foul, whether they overstepped it, whether they out of sector, whatever it is. It's an X. So just get that straight. If you want to use an X in both cases, you're not wrong. You are wrong if you put a F, foul, in a college meet. And I am seeing it. Oh, by the way, I will mention at this time a little bit of, if you are recording a field event, please write neatly. You've got to see it. Your colleagues have to see it. The referee has to see it. The guy at the computer has to see it. Write neatly. Now, I say this because I have poor handwriting. So it takes me a little microsecond longer to make sure I form a 1 and a 2 and a 3. Dashing it down doesn't work. Because you don't know that guy at the computer who's got 7 different events coming at him is trying to, you don't know what he's got to be able to see it. He or she is going to be able to see it. So you write something down, it's going to be seen by people. That's my little advertisement. You notice about the AC, the rule, and now I'm going to get into something that Steve sort of mentioned this, I'm glad he did, a part of it. It's very common, particularly in the long jump, that athletes are in other events. Long jumpers run hurdles, they run dashes. Shot putters occasionally will run some dashes. You get this. The contestants, now, Rule 1 in high school, contestants shall report promptly to the head event judge at the designated location when the event is announced. So, if you're in the 3rd flight of the long jump, you're supposed to go over and check in, which is nothing more than, "Hi, how are you? I'm Billy Jones," at the start of the event. I've had more disputes with people on this. There's a rationale behind it. If you, let's say you have 3 flights, 3 smaller flights, and it's a day when 3 kids are sick, and 2 kids are on a field trip, and somebody else taking SATs or something. Maybe you can combine them into 2 flights, but you can't do that. You can do that maybe if everybody checks in. That's the rationale behind it that I've said. So when the event is announced, 1st, 2nd, or 3rd, or 4th flight, go over and check in. And I don't know, those of you who handle a lot of field events, you know, it's no big deal. No big, it's just, "Hi, how are you? I'm Bill Jones. I think I'm on the 3rd flight." "Fine, thanks, Bill." And just be in the area.
Dennis, can I piggyback on this?
What's that? Sure, Steve, by all means.
The U.S. Nationals over at New Balance this week. On Friday and Saturday, we had some kids, again, we're at the end of the season, this is Nationals, that didn't check in. The meet directors were frustrated, my fishing crews were frustrated. Let it go. By Sunday, when we went over to New Balance, no more. The announcers, the directors of the meet had enough, so they said, "We're going to announce for you guys, your crews in the long jump and triple jump. We're going to keep announcing over loudspeaker." So we still had 2 girls that didn't check in for the triple jump. We didn't allow them to jump. These are folks that came from North Carolina. Father was angry. This particular young lady was in the 3rd flight of the triple jump. She had just shown up on the site and admitted that to the gentleman that was working for you, Yavell Joseph. And that's what he told me as crew chief. And I said, okay. And then she tried to lie later on and said, "No, I was here during warm-up." I said, "No, we didn't allow 2 people to jump. You have to check in before the event. You have to." And we're going to real stress that. Again, I'm speaking tomorrow night. I'm going to say it to the coaches. You have to check in. No excuse at the end of the season.
And that was the Nationals, right?
Nationals.
That wasn't just Swalen versus Bedford. That was the national event. You accommodate those now. One thing I want to look at the bottom of the page, if you see it. There's no such thing as a 15-minute rule. Show me. It's not there. Now, the games committee can establish a 15-minute rule if they choose to do so, and they probably should. But be careful. 15-minute rule. You have to be back in 15 minutes. Okay, what if the event closes within the 15 minutes? Are you out of luck? Probably should be, but make that clear to the kids. But I wanted to, somebody talk about, the 15-minute rule. Not in the book. Games committee can make it, and they should. And they should set a time for completion of the event. The games committee, they seldom don't do this in the meets we've had. The games committee can say all field events shall be finished by 11:30. I've never seen it done, but they have that right, and they have that privilege. I've never seen it done, but they can do that. And I'm going to end with a plea of redouble what Steve said about placeholders. Those of you that are involved in the running events, let's work together and make sure we get a chance that the kid doesn't get sitting in the 7th heat of the hurdles and misses his or her chance to long jump or shot put or whatever. We can work together. I'm sick of these officials. Oh, well, no, we got to have them all here and they can't move. No, we can work together. We're here for the kids. We're not here for ourselves. We're here for the kids. Find a way. How you do it, I don't know. Find a way. Oh, and the coaches have to help out too. They aren't out of this thing. Now, in the NCAA, excused competitors, a little tighter. You're working with college kids. An excused competitor shall not delay the continuation of an event. Right there. In the event other than the vertical jump, the head judge may allow the competitor to take qualifying preliminary but not final attempts out of a set order. Now, one of the things I learned, and remember how I said you sometimes learn the best way to learn rules to screw it up? Well, I did, and that's how I learned the rule that in the NCAA, finals must be in order. And if they are not there for the first time, no, in the preliminaries, you can say, okay, look, go take your long jump. I'll take them here, I can give you 3 jumps, or I can give you 2 jumps, so you can just work with it. Finals in the NCAA, it must be your first, your second, your third, and that's it. Now, in high school, you can do the same thing, except the last jumper has the right, or thrower has the right to compete last. Why? Because they've earned the right to be able to look at everybody else and say, I can beat that, or I'm already number 1. I don't need it. It's their privilege, the privilege they got. But we all have a story of a high jump. You run the high jump for 20 minutes or half an hour. One kid comes in, pops over, takes 1 jump, he wins. Okay, that's the high jump. Or 1 shot put. Joe.
In NCAA in the preliminaries, if Purdon has missed 2 attempts, you have to time 2 minutes at the end of preliminaries for them to get a chance to come back.
So explain that a little bit. Give me a little.
Somebody takes a throw. They leave to go somewhere else. They miss the next 2 throws. You have finished the preliminaries.
Okay.
You have to time 2 minutes. If they come back, they lose a minute. There's still a minute on the clock. They get 1 throw.
Okay.
In the finals, if they're not there, you have to start a clock and run a minute. It becomes a time clock.
Yeah, I should have mentioned that. They have them in the time they have. Usually it's a minute. If there's sometimes in some of the high jump pole vault, with a limited number of people. Look at your rule book. Usually a minute. You got to wait for that minute. We had a very tense situation once where to my mind, a coach was abusing that minute, but he had the right to the minute. Well, he's abusing it in the sense that he knew his athlete had no chance of being there. No chance, but still he demanded we all stand there for a minute. That's again, we weren't cooperating there. Handling the foul throw and the horizontal jump. In the high school, the effect of a foul throw is a penalty. Look at Rule 6, sections 4, 5, 6, and 7. Pull out your rule book. Rule 6, sections 4, 5, 6, and 7. That's the shot. That is the penalty. The put is not measured but counts as a trial. That's in the shot put. 4, 5 is a discus throw. No requirement the measured throw be initially called a foul. To measure it, there's no requirement that it be measured if it's called a foul. No requirement. But the best practice, mark the spot. You know, if you are, we've all, in the shot put, long jump, someone says foul. If you're in the marker, usually you stand there and do nothing. Well, you really shouldn't. You should go out, mark the spot, because somebody may yell protest. Somebody may protest. And the rule book is that any verbal indication is considered a protest. They don't have to use the word protest. That's not right. Wrong. Coach, there you are, you're out in the spot. You hold the spot till the next person comes in, because maybe it's been resolved, maybe it hasn't, maybe you measure it. In fact, I had this happen in the NCAA, so you look at the NCAA rules, and I had this happen. Javelin throw. Competitor throws the javelin. Official at the board says foul. Coach protests. No, it wasn't. Her foot was behind the line. Fortunately, the marker out in the field, whether for whatever reason, he did the right thing, went out to the spot and stood there. He didn't hear the word foul. When he heard the word foul, then they marked it. They did measure it, and they put it on a separate piece of paper. Did everything right. Because there was measured that when I became over as the referee, I disallowed the foul because I had no evidence that, how can you say overturn the referee, the official at the line? He said it was a foul. No video, just his I couldn't take another one. So it was, but they did the right thing. They went out to the spot, held the spot, measured the spot, wrote it down, and then when I disallowed it, it was just scratched. So when somebody says foul, take a minute, walk out there and stand there. Wait till the next person comes into the ring. And because that's a rule you should do all the time, even if it's a legitimate throw. Stand there, put the foul down, put your flag down, put your marker down. Wait till the next person comes in, then step aside. Somebody could yell protest, somebody could yell foul, somebody could yell something. At least you're out there. They can make a measurement. Now, the incident I was just mentioning was in the NCAA. The NCAA rule book is a little clearer than the high school rule book about this. I've mentioned a couple rules. Section 7, Article 10. Any such protest may be immediate and oral by a competitor or competitor's coach in order to protect and preserve evidence used in determining an appropriately filed written protest. Any communication by the athlete that requests preservation of the evidence shall be deemed a protest. So any set of words. They don't have to use the word protest. They don't have to use just any set of words. I don't like that. That wasn't right. I don't like that. No. That's good enough for a protest. If you're out there with a marked spot and you measure that spot and you put it down, let the referee decide. Best practice, mark the spot, hold the spot, and no protest. In case of a protest, record it on a separate piece of paper. Preserve what evidence you can. Now, I don't know what evidence you can preserve about whether or not a person stepped over the line. I don't know. Last week, in a very important meet, there was a situation where the marker, if the individual landed there, the marker saw it here and gave the individual about, another 2 feet, or maybe a foot and a half. But nobody called it at the time. If she had been there and stood there and somebody said, wait a minute, there have been, no, he landed there with her footprints over here. Some evidence, you could have marked it, but nobody looked at it at the time. I was the referee, I came in 10 minutes later, and there's no mark here, there's no mark there. I had to say, I can't overturn it. So there is now a college with a long jump record that a lot of people feel wasn't right. But there was nothing preserved. So I'm the referee. How can I overturn this? That was 10 minutes ago, people. Don't tell me now. Jump on it right there. I won't say which college, but there it is. And the athlete, honestly believed he did that longer mark. I mean, if that athlete had said, no, I really didn't, be one thing. He knows that's where I landed, that's what I said. And by the time I got there, the dirt was all smoothed out. What can I do? Steve.
Yeah, in that same situation, one issue that came up was that continued the problem was the rakers. They were very efficient, but they were too efficient. So when the official put the stick in with the tape, they raked everything. That includes not only the steps that are coming out of the pit ahead of the mark, everything around the mark, everything in front of the mark. And we're actually pushing the sand on top of the stick when it was in there.
Yeah.
So you have to also supervise the help that you're getting, because while we often see the cases where our raking help disappears, or they really they're really not enthused to be doing that job. This was a case where they were too quick, and they had been doing this, through the first and second flights, and just covering over every mark as soon as this stick went in. So there was not even an option to adjust it, or the board official said, or the officials say, take 2 marks because the feet were landing close together, or there's a hand mark out there. There just wasn't a way, so we had to tell the help to how to efficiently and properly rake out the marks.
Steve was there. Now, one thing that could have helped, had the official at the board seen that and just yelled anything, stop! Everybody hold place. And then maybe something could have been preserved. Nobody did anything. I got it 5 minutes later. Steve.
Now, piggyback on that situation, in the Ivy League,
Stand up so we can.
at the Ivy League championships, I was on the board, and another official in the pit. Girl came. It was in the long jump. She came down. I saw her hand scrape behind her, and her feet landed forward. The official started to put the stick where her feet land. I said, no, Phil, it's her backhand. And she said, no, I didn't touch. And the coach is like, no, you touched. That's a situation where the officials have to work together. It doesn't matter if I was head person on the board. I can make that call. Okay, her hand clearly touched behind her, and I caught it. So don't just concentrate on the board. Look into the pit. And that's a situation where it was measured by your hand.
See, what Steve was saying here is that it was preserved. So there was probably a mark in the sand. So, but everybody, don't move. Now we've got evidence. The situation I had and Steve had, no evidence. We're all pushed over, and there we are. Yeah.
Can I ask a follow-up on that? So it sounds to me like what you just heard was a protest by the jumper. As soon as you said her hand went like this.
Well, she came out of the pit and says, no, my hand didn't touch.
Right. So what you had just brought up, which is about a protest, okay, so that sounds to me like a legitimate protest. And so you've marked from her hand.
Yep.
But you didn't mark from her foot.
Right.
Right.
And it was protested because the coach went to Tom Stewart, who was both the running referee and he was the field referee. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And he came over to me after the jump or after that flight and said, Steve, I just want the coach said that you had. Yeah, I just told him what I told him and the athlete, that her hand was behind, and he didn't overrule anything. He just wanted to get what I saw and get my statement, and that was it.
But there was no necessity on your part to do 2 measurements.
No.
Okay. I just wanted to clear that up.
Sure. No, good question.
Yeah, that was an interesting thing that happened, and Steve was there. I, as the referee, couldn't add no evidence to overturn. Making the finals in field events. I was on a seminar. I think, Steve, you were on the same seminar, I think. And Zoom. It was a Zoom. And of all the rules we went through, this one caused sort of the most discussion. Maybe it was night. I know you were on one with a Zoom with me. To be eligible to participate in the finals, a competitor in high school, at least one legal jump or throw in the preliminaries. To me, that seems pretty straightforward. Well, what if they run down the field? What if they run down and they go off the side and then they come back and then they're over their minute? Is that a legal jump? No, it says one legal jump a throw. But some people invent scenarios. But the point is, you've got to have one legal jump in high school. All competitors assigned to the last position shall be finalists. Why did I put this in here? Because I screwed it up once. That's how I learned that rule. I wanted to use the rule for final, you know, the second best throw, second best jump or something. I wanted to use that to cut the field. The coaches pointed out, no, you don't. I made a mistake. Somebody caught it, and that's how I learned that rule pretty well. That if there's two people with 23 feet 4 inches, and that's the last position, then two people get that last position. You'll notice the next rule. A tie in a field event occurs when two or more competitors finish with the same distance or height. That complements the previous one. They finish. If they both finish with 23 feet 7 inches, then you go to the second best throw. Second best jump for this person was 19 feet. Second best jump for that person was 22 feet. 22 feet gets the better place. But notice the finish. Those two rules kind of complement each other. And again, I learned that rule because I screwed it up. So that's a good way to learn as far as I'm concerned. Oh, also there's a couple of others. I won't tell about the other time when I messed up. Now, in the NCAA, a couple of rules, very close. Each has a valid mark in the preliminary rounds. High school says legal jump or throw. College says valid mark. I can't see much of a difference between a legal throw, jump or throw, and a valid mark. Does anybody have any idea what the difference could be? I don't see the difference could be. And this has come up sometimes. Now, Section 2, Article 7, if there are only a few people, that's why I put this in, automatic participation, each competitor in the final rounds, number at the start is not greater than the maximum number of final rounds. So, if you've got, Jeff.
Say you're taking 9 to the finals, but there's only 9 competitors to begin with.
Yes.
In those first 3 preliminary rounds, all finalists must have a legal or valid performance to advance.
Well, look, it says here in Section 7, the bottom of the page, each competitor must actually attempt one trial in preliminary rounds. If in that case, and you occasionally will see it in college, there'll only be 9. You're going to take 9 to a final, and you see it a lot in the triple jump, particularly, I think. Not that many kids can do a good triple jump. They're going to take 9 to a final, and there's only 8 competitors.
Couldn't they make an attempt and it's a foul?
Yeah, that says right. Each competitor must actually attempt. Yes, yeah. Attempt.
They have to have an attempt.
Yeah, they can have a foul.
Like,
No, those are the.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
That's what the games committee. The games committee can decide that.
Clarification.
But we've only got 8 competitors in this, and we have 9 to the final. As long as you take one, as long as you make an attempt, jog down, boom, okay, you're in the final.
but Dennis, one of the examples that was on the Zoom here from the NCAA, that might have been Mark Costa. 9 make it to the finals. 10 are in the preliminaries. 2 have 3 fouls. You take the 2 of them in. And the answer, I believe, came back, no, you do not. You take the 8 that had a valid mark, not an attempt.
Because you
I'm
had
almost part because I honed in on that because here at Wheaton, and I do most of their meets here, I always ask, how many are you taking to the final? And they always seem to want to take 9 to the final, and in the triple jump, as you say, we might have 4, we might have 5, we might have 8 competitors. So as long as if we're under the number and everybody at least attempts, even if they have 3 fouls, and that's long jump and triple jump, which is done here, shot put and weight, which is done both right there, and they're going to get in. And so that's because those are usually multi-school meets, not championships, and in those meets they want to get more people involved on that. So if you ever find yourself as the referee, you always want to know that. You want to know it as the official too, because the officials are gonna be able to tell you as the referee, hey, we only have 7, we only have 8 in here, because sometimes we don't see the sheets. So, the athletes pretty much know that rule, though. They're very good at that, on that. Sometimes most of the coaches do, but the athletes are very good at that, so.
But it's surprising, isn't it, how many variations you have over
There
this?
is, and that was the example though, because it was from a meet somewhere, and it came in, and on that Zoom, what I recall is no, neither of them went. So you had 8 go to the finals, you were taking 9, but 2 people had no mark. You take the 2 and take over, and they said no, because normally if you have a tie in a preliminary, you don't break the tie to go from a preliminary to a final to get them into the final. You break it for purposes of, all right, who's going to jump first, who's going to jump second, and then you look to the second jumps. But you take them both in. You take them both in high school too, by the way. They both go in.
Yeah, they tie at the 9th
See how many
position.
variations there can be
Yeah.
on this one little thing?
Yeah.
One little issue? Final thing I want to talk about is competitors' uniform.
What is it this year?
School issued or school approved. Now, I've always wondered about this one. It says school approved. Well, the coach, you got the principal, you got the superintendent, you got the principal, you got the AD, you got the coach. If the coach says, I approve that uniform, is that school approved? I guess. He's the school, isn't he? The superintendent isn't there, the AD isn't there, coach is there. So if you don't like the person's uniform, and it's school approved. Now, there are probably some reasonable limits on that, but I've always been bothered by this school approved language. I'm fairly liberal on it. The kids, if this coach says it's okay, school approved, I guess. I know that each competitor should wear shoes on both feet. It's funny, I brought that up when I did this talk in November, where Reggie said he can't have spikes in the dash. So they tell him, look, take your shoes off. So he took the shoes off. So they ran the dash, I think it was in their socks. And the official at the end wasn't aware that they have to have shoes on and let the pass. Well, I wasn't going to say anything. I was not the referee. I was not involved in the track events that time. So, but you have to have shoes on. At Reggie, the way you don't, and probably other places where they don't let you wear spikes, put your sneakers on, put your street shoes on. But you can't, in high school, you can't run barefoot. College, it's not a rule. You can run barefoot. That's what I bring up here. Now, in the relays, one of the reasons I wanted to bring this up is because I've heard some people say in the relay events, all the uniforms must be identical. No. Must wear uniform clearly indicated through predominant color, school logo, and color combination, all from the same team. And there's a note there, Rule 4, Article 3. The officials should be able to observe that all members are from the same team. Now, what's the rationale for that? Every AD in the state would love to have his track team in all the same uniforms. Every AD in the state is under financial pressure. And can any of you guess where uniforms for the track team come in the AD's priority list? So you got football, you got basketball, new shorts for the track team. Yeah, that's down his list. So you've got to be a little bit, as long as the officials should be able to observe that all members are from the same team. That's the rule. They don't have to be identical. The shorts can be a little different. Some will have long sleeves, some have short sleeves. Now, there is one school, I won't mention which one, that has tops. Some are one color, some are another color. That's different. That's the whole top. That's what the official sees coming down the track. So that's the predominant color, and that I wouldn't accept. Somebody's got a long sleeve, somebody's got a short sleeve, somebody's got this color short, somebody's got that color short, somebody's got a black legging, somebody doesn't. Can the official, by the predominant, observe all members of the same team? That's my test. Keeping in mind that the AD would love to have everybody in the same uniform. And so if you want to take care of that, send a check to the AD. Yes?
This might be a really stupid question, but going back to the footwear issue,
Yeah.
what if somebody loses a shoe on a cross-country course? like, you can't penalize them for that, right?
That I would allow.
Okay.
They started with 2.
I would allow. They started with
right.
they started
But I
with
mean, at the state meet, I had like 4 shoes in my area.
If they start with the 2 and then we cross-cut, that's a good example.
Okay.
Now, in all of these things, of course, there is a discretion. Part of the rules is that the referee has has discretion to something that isn't in the rules. And that's a good example. It isn't in the rule. What happens if halfway through the referee has some discretion to apply the rules sensibly? Now, in the NCAA, it must wear the official team uniform. Removing any part of the uniform should be worn by the nearest official. Relay team must wear clearly indicated through the same primary colors institutional logo combination of all other garments worn as uniform, the members of the same team. Pretty much the same rule. Doesn't have the note in there about just predominant color, as long as the official can tell it. But in college, you got a little different thing in college. In high school, you all know you've got 58 kids in the track team. You got four relay teams just so that everybody can compete. And the AD can only afford X many uniforms that year. This is the reality of school sports. And the competitors may compete in bare feet with shoes on one or both feet. So that's what you do in college. Those are just a few situations I've run into, and we've had some good questions. Anybody else have any thoughts on what I brought up, or any other situations that you all run into you think is worth talking about? Steve.
Really quickly, your name?
Anush.
Anush. That's my buddy Amy over there. Let's say Anush and Amy are jumping in a flight, in the long jump, and they both land primarily on the butt. Anusha's not going to have a problem. Amy might have a problem. Her hair. The extensions are getting longer. Even some of the guys, I tell athletes, tie up your hair in the long jump and the triple jump. Because we will mark. If that extension hits behind you, we're going to mark for you from there. I also tell kids, don't wear blousey shorts. The spandex is good. If I wear something blousey like this is going to hit behind me. I'm going to mark you from here, closer to the board. Okay? So just as an official, tell the coaches, but tell the athlete too. Tie up the hair, tie up the extensions, wear something more close-fitting if you're jumping so it doesn't come behind you, okay? We're seeing a lot with the extensions.
Let me have a little fun with that. What if glasses fall off? What if a hat falls off?
Behind you?
What do you think? Same rule? Glasses or hat?
It's you jump with it. And it fell behind you.
See, I'm not so sure about glasses. That's what you've seen? What do you all think about glasses?
It's not part of it.
Not in
No.
the throw.
Excuse me?
Hat comes off, glasses come off, not in the throw.
No
No foul.
foul. No foul in the throws. But I think Steve's point is the long jump
I
kit.
don't know about the long throw.
Yeah, no foul in the throws. In the long jump pit, the glasses come off and land here, and the athlete lands here. Steve would say, it's back here where the glasses came off. I'm not so sure. I think it has to be attached to the body or something. And our glasses attached to the body. See the fun we can get into? Thank you all. If you have any questions, by all means. Rules are fun.
I just have one more question.
Yeah.
So, male high school athlete takes his school-issued uniform off right after he
Stand
runs.
up.
Okay. So male high school athlete stands up. I'm standing up. Takes his school-issued uniform top off after he runs and he's walking around without a shirt on. You have to give them a warning, correct?
Yep.
Like, what is the rationale behind that? Like, why is that rule in place? I've always questioned it.
First off, I've always looked at it because the women won't do it.
Right.
And so why should you have two different rules? And just plain, if you have a uniform rule, you should wear a uniform. I mean, how does it look? How would it look if people are, a bunch of Tarzans are walking around?
No shirt, no service.
Right. What if it's just like a quick change? Like,
it's changing.
Right. But I've seen times where kids just took his quick, single it off quick and throw a T-shirt on and he got like just lambasted.
Well, I wouldn't, if it's just whip this off to put that one on, I wouldn't bother with that.
Yeah.
But if they took it off like it's comfortable to walk around, that's a different story.
Okay.
You know, there again, you have a little bit of discretion.
Don't you want them to have it on in case they interfere with a runner or something, then you can see what team they're from?
Excuse me, why are you interfering? The stand-up so I can hear you.
Shouldn't they have their uniform on so if they get in the way of a competitor, you can see what school they're from and follow them?
Makes balance. That's a good reason. If you should commit a foul in front of, you know, it was North Quincy that did it. We could tell with those uniforms, right? It wasn't the kid from Holbrook. No, Quincy. Quincy, North Quincy. Thank you all. If there's any questions, yes, Steve. Well, Steve, by all means, Steve.
A lot of times, several times, Dennis has mentioned the referee. Referees can make decisions where the rules are unclear. They can interpret the rules. But if you have a question and you're not certain of the answer, particularly as you go higher up the level of the meet, you can stop the event and say, we're going to get the referee's interpretation or the referee's decision. Because we had a college conference championship where there was a decision made and it was somewhat influenced, I was told afterwards, well, two coaches, they were just so adamant about it and they wouldn't shut up, so we just went with that interpretation, but it was incorrect. So if you're in charge of working a field event, you can bring it to a stop and say, if there's the officials have one reading on it, somebody's challenging it, we'll get the referee down.
And if they don't like the referee's interpretation, maybe I'll take it to a jury of appeals.
Right.
That usually should be most meets, most larger, more bigger meets championships, they'll have a jury of appeals.
And one other point, it's always good to practice preventive officiating, meaning if you see a number of relay teams lined up to go on the track and one guy's got a red shirt and three guys got a white shirt, you tell them, where's your white shirt? I didn't bring it. You have a teammate here? Get a shirt. Well, he's worn it. It's too bad. It's either you wear a sweaty shirt that's the right color or your team's disqualified. And there's a lot of those little things that officials can do that can make their life easier, make the athletes' life easier, and teach the athletes as you're going through.
I think Steve raises a good point. Occasionally, you know, someone once said, well, the umpire in baseball doesn't tell him his 3 strikes are out, so why should officials say that, you know, there's nothing wrong with an official saying, look, you want to conform to the rule, good, put your shoes on, or just do that, you know, change your shorts, or change the shirt. A little quick thing. I have my little thing on the relays. I always tell kids, maybe it's coaching not, but when they're setting up, don't ever let your foot fall behind that. You know, you have a line you're standing in front of. Don't ever let the foot fall. It's so easy. Let the heel go back here. That's a foul. See, and I tell them it's the easiest foul in the world to call. It's just a little bit. Is that coaching? Just to tell them, hey, just take another step forward another half a foot. That's okay. I think that's okay. You know, so I had somebody once say that you're not even supposed to. How many of you have been doing a shot put where everybody around says, step out the back, step out the back? I've heard somebody say, oh, no, that's coaching. You're not supposed to do that. I mean, it's been done in every shot put since the 7th grade. Step out the back. They know it, but people say it. I have no problem. Yeah.
One of the things that you didn't mention tonight, the high school federation has the case book.
Yes.
Can you go to the case book?
Yes.
For a referral?
Yes.
And look, and then if it's not really covered there, then get the field referee.
Probably you would bring the problem to the referee's attention, and then let the referee, in making his or her decision, if there's a question, could go to a case book, because the case book has validity, but you got to apply that. So they have situations in there. Yes, case book is valid. So you should, you know, the judge is the place.
I've been
then
fishing
the
a long
referee.
time. It's good to have a case book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good to have a case book. I always have one. Joe.
College meets, we ran into this year. You have multi-meets, Division 1, 2, 3 athletes. Sometimes there's unattached athletes. When you're going to the finals, unattached athletes count in 9. There's 9 to the finals at those multi-meets, non-scoring meets. If you have an athlete in another category, a master athlete, throwing a 20-pound weight as opposed to a 35-pound weight, you have 9 to the finals plus the other category. If you have a Paralympian, you have 9, it's a different category to 6. But the unattached and collegians make the 9 in a multi-non-scoring meet.
Yep. That's.
Yeah, it was cost. I was at URI and I called them on the phone. I said, look, we got this. He said, no. A multi-meet, non-scoring, 9, unattached or Division 1, 2, or 3. But if you get into another category of athlete, a master athlete, para-athlete, they also go to the finals with 6 throws.
Yeah.
So you could end up with, their distance has to put them in the finals.
Yeah.
If you have a cutoff of 20 meters and you got a master athlete that threw over 20, they make the finals. If they threw 19, no. They don't go to the finals unless they come in within your cutoff. The para-athlete, that's a different ball.
Your point is you could have 2 or 3 sets of finals.
Yeah, you got different categories of athletes. So you got 2 or 3 different finals. We only had a master athlete qualify. One who's a particularly good master athlete qualify at BU. So we had 10.
Any other questions? Yes?
What's the ruling on numbers?
Numbers. How do you
Had to have 482, 982, and I had an athlete. Didn't have this number, it was up there. You need your number. You need your number. What's the ruling?
I would leave that oftentimes to the league and the particular games committee on the league. I know there are leagues who they part. There are other leagues, so if they haven't got that number, that's it. And but usually you look at the games committee on that, other league. Now you get the championship meets. Yeah, you have the number there. You have the whole thing.
Even in the championship.
Anyone else? I guess anyone else like to start and like to join us for another round? I'll be happy to. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Denise.
Take a sir.
Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you.